Hello, I have a drink, but it is not alcohol. It's water because I don't drink alcohol, and when I do these, I get a little nervous and my mouth gets kind of dry, so I like to have something to drink when I'm doing these. But by drink, I mean actually drink, not alcohol. Okay, so I will start with where I agree with you. I do feel a lot of the ages we have for stuff very arbitrary. And it would be nice to see a single age for everything across the board, not just alcohol. But like I always think it's weird that you would say someone can't vote, which to me says you're questioning their maturity and decision making, yet they can be tried as an adult. Uh, I always feel to be one or the other, and I would go the same argument. I could use the same argument for drinking. As you said, if you can die for your country, you should be able to have a beer. That being said, most of the people at 18 aren't out there dying for the country, and they're not just having a beer. And there are a lot of reasons why there are different ages for things. And here's where I guess I'm going to start disagreeing with you. I don't think the age for alcohol should be lowered. I actually think, and this will be very unpopular, uh, I kind of think it should be raised. You had mentioned, drunk driving accidents going down when they raise the age, but I kind of feel you glossed over that. I don't know how much you looked into that. I read some stuff on it, some of the history and statistics on it, which is the main part of them raising it to 21. Uh, and to me, that's a big thing, saving thousands of lives. But some of the things I did pick up, I figure if I am going to have an unpopular argument, I should have at least some stats here. I will admit, depending on where you look, stats can be a little different because what's considered an alcohol related accident or alcohol caused accident are different, and depending on the blood alcohol level, whether they consider it alcohol related or not. But uh, history, it goes back before Prohibition. There was no national drinking age. They said most states either didn't have a drinking age or didn't enforce it. Um, After Prohibition, I still don't believe there was a national drinking age, but most states did set it at 21, although there were some that were lower. By the late 60s and 70s, pretty much all states had lowered it down to 18. They said after this there was a huge increase in alcohol-related accidents. There's about the mid 70s, 60% of all uh, traffic fatalities were alcohol-related, and over two-thirds of car accidents involving 16 to 20-year-olds were alcohol-related, uh, which was the reason why in 1984 they passed the Minimum Drinking Age Act, which set the age to 21, which is for, I think it's that you can't buy alcohol or you can't be drinking it in public. There are other issues of whether you can drink it that vary from state to state where you can drink it, but I think it's more towards the purchasing or drinking in public. So after the law was passed, drunk driving accidents dropped by about 50%. The biggest decline was in the 16 to 20-year-old range. Uh, and they say people under 21, the the rate dropped by like 79%. And here's the thing, comes to even the 18 to 21-year-old age. Well, I'm not saying these aren't very intelligent kids, but they're a lot. I would say most of them probably aren't fully mature, especially when drunk. They say 4 to 5 college students drink, and 90% of those binge drink, which obviously impairs your judgment. And I think it makes people obviously makes people do stuff they wouldn't do. But someone who might say, "Oh no, I wouldn't drive drunk," might do it because they are not, thinking clearly. Uh, they say consuming alcohol at a younger age, it, you know, it, you drink it can, if you could drink alcohol at an age before your brain's fully developed, it can hinder your cognitive development. And the younger you drink, the more likely you are to develop an alcohol problem. Um, so they say now the rate of drunk driving is highest in the 21 to 24-year-old range. So it's right after it's legal. Uh, they say that's about 32% of drunk drivers. Followed by the next group is the 25 to 34-year-old range, which is 30%. So it's only a slight difference of percent, but that's, we're talking 5 years compared to 10. But I'll also say that's 60% of drunk drivers are in that 15-year age group, which is kind of my feeling on raising the limit to at least 25, if not even a little later. I think even before I read this out, I was thinking, by the time you hit 25 or a little later, most people have been out of college for a few years and they're a little more settled into their routine, less likely to be into that party all the time situation. I mean, obviously it depends on the person. And they say teen alcohol use kills more people than all other illegal drugs combined. And they say new drivers 16 to 19 years old are 3 times more likely per mile driven to get into an accident than anyone else. So, and I think that's one of the issues, that you're taking new drivers and new drinkers and putting them together. And I think it's a bad combination. So, I mean, I just think the fact that if you could save thousands of lives, I think that's a good reason to at least not lower the drinking age, if not raise it. And so something else you said in the video, you were talking about how you felt that drinking was taboo, um, which I guess is the part of the allure to some people, and maybe you feel that way, and I'm sure there are some other people who do, but I generally don't think it's looked at that way. Uh, I tend to think it's more glorified and celebrated, and you're looked upon as weird if you don't drink. And as a non-drinker, I can tell you that. I don't know your experiences before you started drinking, um, but I find if you go out somewhere and you're not drinking, people sometimes almost get upset. If you go somewhere and everyone has a soda and you just say you want a water, no one has an issue. But if they're drinking beer or some whatever alcohol beverage, they almost get annoyed and they try and push it on you. And I still get that to this day. Uh, I mean, really, just last week I had someone, he had a drink. He's like, "You should have this. It tastes like root beer." I'm like, "Well, if I want a root beer, I'll drink root beer." And he almost seemed annoyed that I didn't want to drink. I feel, which then annoyed me because I feel, my decision not to drink should be respected, and I kind of feel that's the way a lot of people get with alcohol. Uh, I even feel this video you kind of were like celebrating alcohol a little bit, like you didn't actually say woohoo, but I kind of got that like woohoo, I'm drinking feeling from you, and it I do think it's glorified, and I don't like alcohol. And I'm not talking about the flavor, which I do think is disgusting. As my friend said, of course it tastes disgusting. That's why there are so many different flavors of alcohol to cover the taste. I guess my handful of experiences with drinking. First time I ever tried it, my father let me have a sip when I was a kid, and I thought it tasted disgusting, and I probably oversimplified it, but I thought, well, it tastes bad and it's bad for you. Why should I have it? As I got a little older and learned more of the effects of alcohol, on the body, the liver, but especially the brain, I'm not a big fan of doing anything unnecessarily to harm your brain. I felt stronger that way. People would say you can acquire a taste, but why do you want to acquire a taste for something that's bad for you? It would be great if I didn't like pizza or ice cream. That being said, there have been a few times where I guess I don't want to say pressured into drinking, but you're with everyone who's drinking and you're uncomfortable. So you had a couple of drinks. I've never actually been drunk. I don't think I've had more than like maybe 2 beers. Uh, but I don't like being around people who are drinking. I find it makes them dumber, more annoying, and less like themselves. You know, I know some people they can be funny. A guy falls down the steps who's drunk, and you laugh, and that might be funny until he falls on the steps and he lands on someone and breaks their leg, which I have seen happen. Uh, I should also note I do not come from an alcoholic family, and my family does like their alcohol. So this is just my own personal preference. There's no, you know, father getting drunk and beating me or anything like that, or come from a Mormon family or something like that that doesn't have alcohol in the house. I would even say, and I hate to bring this up, but uh, I love almost everything you do. Obviously, the Naked Truths. I watch them every week. I didn't watch them from the very beginning, but once I found them, I went back and have watched them all. I like other stuff like you Take My Money, not just because you show a lot of cool stuff, but you're what you do, but you just have this great personality that comes through. Whether it's in something like that or Naked Truth when you're talking about a serious topic. Uh, I even watch, your game streaming. I had watched it a few times when I found out you were streaming on Twitch Thursday nights when I was free, because I was off on Thursday. I'm off on Thursdays. I used to stream The Sims. Not a big fan of actually watching other people play games, and I'm not even a big fan of The Sims. But I watched it because I like you and I like your personality, and you made it interesting. Uh, Unfortunately, I until last Sunday waited late, and Thursday waited for 6 hours. I hadn't been able to watch it because I work Sundays. Except for there was one night where after work I noticed that I got a notification that you had, you know, started Twitch streaming. So I thought, oh, maybe she's still going and I can catch it. And I'll admit I only caught the very end of this, and I I know I'm in the minority because I was reading the comments, but it was a drunk gaming stream, and I just didn't enjoy it. I felt like this was not the Trisha that I have become such a big fan of over the past couple of years. It it felt more like, please don't have me for saying this, but it felt more like watching a child who's up way past his bedtime, trying to keep his eyes open, convincing his parents to stay out, let him stay up even later. Um, as well, I'll watch almost anything you make if, and I'll watch your game streams if there was another drunk game stream. It's something I personally wouldn't watch. I'm not telling you not to do it, but for me, I did not enjoy that, and it just that's what I don't like about alcohol. Even if you don't become annoying and a jerk or whatever, they just people aren't themselves. You know, you go out and you hang out with these people that you get along with all the time, you have a good time with all the time, and then you go to a party and they're drinking and you're not, and you're told you're not fun because you're not drinking, when the difference is that they are drinking, not that you're not. You can have fun with them when you're both sober. So to me, the difference is that they're drunk, not that you're sober. And I think that is what pushes other people to drink. Not only is there peer pressure, but they're not going to have a good time if they're sober because everyone else is drunk. And I think if you raise the age, it's going to make it at least a little bit harder for younger people to get alcohol. People under the age are always going to drink, as you said, even as a late bloomer with drinking. It was before 21, so people are always going to get it at a younger age. But I feel the older you make it, the harder it is for someone underage to get alcohol. And I think in the long run, I think that's a better thing. So I know it's probably an unpopular opinion. I hope nothing I said offended you in any way. But yeah, so those are some of my thoughts on alcohol. And well, if you watch this whole thing, thanks for listening. Bye.